What do you do with all that brisket trim you got? Don't throw it away. Don't make beef tallow. Keep it and make burgers with it. I'm gonna show you how. Let's go. I love keeping my brisket trimmings, and I do make beef tallow with it, and I use it all the time, but you can only have so much beef tallow. I went through my freezer last night, and between these two pans, I had 75 pounds of brisket trim. 75 pounds! So we're gonna make some burgers out of this, and I'm gonna show you how. It's really simple. You really just need a meat grinder. You have all this great brisket trim with all this great meat in there. All we're gonna do is separate the meat from the fat. That's how we're gonna start. I'm gonna keep my fat in one container, and I'm gonna pile the meat in a separate pile here. And it's not all gonna be perfect. There is gonna be some fat left behind and intramuscular fat that you're not gonna get out, but try to get as close as you can. That way you can get a good percentage of what you're making here. And we keep the fat and the meat separate because we're gonna figure out our percentage later of what we're gonna make these. I like to keep it in the 70 to 80% lean range. So you got a nice fat content in there. But this way, by separating it, you really control what you're putting in there. And we're gonna go through right now and do all of this. Both pans, clean it up really good. Get that meat and fat separated. Look at this great meat. And once we grind it up, make some burgers out of it, some regular ground brisket. You could use it for anything. Meatloaf, you could use it for hamburgers, for anything you use ground beef for. So I'm gonna be right back. I'm gonna go ahead and trim all this up, get it separated into lean and fat. We'll be back when I have it fully separated. We got our lean separated from the fat. This scale's weighing out right now at 22.2. Pan weight's about 3 pounds, 3.3 pounds. We're at about 19 pounds of lean brisket here. But as you can see on some of these pieces, there is still a little bit of fat or some marbling in there. So this is not 100% lean. There's still little bits of fat here. I'm gonna call this roughly, just a couple percent. And I wanna have somewhere between 70 to 80% lean, which is about 20 to 30% fat. So I did a calculation. We got about 19 pounds here. I'm gonna add 4 pounds of this cubed up fat here to this, and that's gonna give us 23 pounds, 4 pounds of fat. That's gonna give us in that range that we're looking for to have some good ground beef. We're gonna take some of this fat here, get this up to about 26 pounds, then we're gonna mix it together and throw it through the grinder. Now this is just some of that good fat that we saved as well. Few more pieces. There we have it. We're at about 26 pounds. I'm gonna move this scale out of the way, mix this together, and then put it through the grinder. I'm gonna save this fat, and we're gonna make tallow out of this. We've already got all the good beef out of there, all the good meat out of there. Now we could use this, render it down, and make tallow. So let's get this out of the way and get grinding. We have our beef put together with the fat all integrated. Now it's time to put our grinder together. Normally I'd throw this meat in the fridge or freezer for a little while to really solidify this meat to make sure that it doesn't smear or get clogged up in here. But it's a chilly day out here and the meat's still pretty cold. But what was important is that I did throw this in the freezer, all the bits that the meat's gonna touch. So we're gonna build this, put it together, and get grinding. We're using the larger gauge piece here. We're gonna do it pretty coarse, but we're gonna do a double grind. Really wanna make sure that that meat is broken down and it looks the way that you're used to, like at a grocery store. Time to start grinding it up. We're gonna do a double grind on here so we can really get that texture that we're familiar with when we're dealing with ground beef. We're gonna load up the hopper and get it going. You can see that some of it's coming out in fattier chunks, but that's why we're gonna do the double grind. It's gonna really mix all that stuff together well. Gonna switch to a bigger pan here, start it up again. Now that's the end of grind 1. You can see this looks great, but it's still pretty loose, and even if you go to pack it, it's gonna be pretty crumbly and fall apart. That's why we do a second grind. Really gonna break those proteins down, get those fat and meat sticking together, and then it's gonna give more of a classic ground beef texture. We're gonna go ahead, throw this through a second time. I'm gonna go finish the rest of this up, and we'll be right back when we're done with our second grind. We have our meat ground. It's looking great, and this is the texture we're talking about. When you make a little ball or patty, it kind of gets integrated really nicely, so it's gonna cook nice. When you only did the one grind, it would probably be a little loose and fall apart. Now we're gonna weigh these out into half-pound meatballs, place them on the tray here, and then I'm gonna make burgers with them. I got a burger press. But first I'm gonna weigh all these out to roughly half a pound or 8 ounces. So this is half a pound. So we have 12 meatballs made. Now we're gonna press them into burger patties. What I like to do, get some parchment paper, and we're just gonna roughly fold these into about the size of what they're gonna be after you press it down. And give them a cut through here. So this is about into thirds. And what we're gonna do here is just cut these, and we're gonna use these when we're smashing these so they don't stick to the burger press. All I'm using is this Weber burger press, and it has 2 sides. One's a thicker side, one's a shorter side. Shorter side makes a bigger burger. That's the half-pound side. So we're gonna make some half-pound burgers with this. You take your piece of parchment paper, give this a little press together. Give this a press. Boom. You got a nice half-pound burger patty ready to go. Do it again. Like to give them a little form there, a little consistency. Burger. There we have it, 12 half-pound burgers ready for the smoker, ready for the grill, ready for the flap top, or however you enjoy making burgers. So we had the smoker going. I seasoned these burgers with salt and pepper, and that's it. Threw them on the smoker till they reached about an internal temperature of nearly 140. Throw it on a brioche bun. Now we're gonna try it. These are my homemade brisket burgers. Dress them how you like when you make them. Absolutely delicious. So much better than just a regular ground beef burger. Throw it on the smoker, you get more of that smoke flavor on top of that beefy flavor. These are a home run. If you save your brisket trimmings, make some burgers, you're gonna love them. Thanks for checking this out. Cheers everybody, take care, peace.